Welcome into Sports Zone, everyone. I'm Sports Director Matt Dowell. Happy Wednesday to you. Tonight we're changing things up a bit and we're bringing you a special Sports Zone that's focused on horse racing here in South Carolina. In just a few weeks, all eyes will be on Camden for the return of the Colonial Cup. And tonight we're taking an in-depth look into the equine industry here in the Palmetto State. According to a 2019 report released by the State Department of Agriculture, South Carolina's equine industry contributes nearly $2 billion and 29,000 jobs annually to the state's economy. Also, just 2 years ago, some state lawmakers conducted their own study, and they concluded that in order for the equine industry to continue to flourish, more funding is needed to create and manage programs that are established by non-profits. So, like I mentioned, Camden is gearing up for the Colonial Cup next month, and joining us tonight to explain it all in this WACH Fox special is our friendly Claire Vaux and Claire Foley.
Thanks, Matt, and thank you for joining us for this WACH Fox special of the 49th running of the Marion DuPont Scott Colonial Cup races, brought to you by the Mulliken Law Firm.
Well, Friendy, according to the National Steeplechase Museum, the Colonial Cup is considered the Super Bowl of steeplechase racing in the U.S. Its history dates back more than 50 years. At one point, the Colonial Cup determined the Steeplechase Eclipse Award winner. Now, the Cup itself has been on a hiatus since 2016, due in part to financial issues and then, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic.
But now all of that has changed. The Colonial Cup will make its return to the Springdale race course on Sunday, November 17th. And Claire, $150,000 up for grabs.
Pretty good prize, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, definitely. So this race should not be mistaken for the Carolina Cup, which takes place back in March. There is a stark difference between the two, and you'll learn about that during this special.
Friendy and I have spent hours at the National Steeplechase Museum learning about the history of the Cup, its impact across South Carolina, and what to expect the day of the race.
Ooh, so you'll also hear from the jockeys how they prepare for the big day, what goes into training horses, and what you should wear at the Colonial Cup. So we begin our special with the Colonial Cup sponsor, the Mulliken Law Firm. We are now inside the National Steeplechase Museum here in Camden, and joining me now is none other than Tom Mulliken, the owner of the Mulliken Law Firm. Tom, hello.
Hey, my friend. So glad to have you back here in Camden, the ecotourism center of the state, and one of the greatest places for equestrian activities in the nation. We're excited to be coming back for our fall race, the Super Bowl of steeplechase,
which is the Colonial Cup, and this year you are the sponsor of the Colonial Cup.
Yes, sir. We've been excited to be able to help with our Carolina Cup now, which is setting records in the spring. Looking forward to bringing this historic race back, where we'll be crowning a champion on November 17th. Sunday, November 17th. Come out, bring your family, and have a wonderful time here in Camden, South Carolina.
The last time we had the Colonial Cup was actually in 2016, and we're standing right in between the Colonial Cup award that was given to top striker at that time. So why is it important that the Colonial Cup is coming back?
This is the championship of steeplechase. It's here that we'll crown a champion, and we'll have some of the most elite horses and jockeys in the world visiting our community. And we ask South Carolina, let's rally behind this tremendous historic event here at Springdale Racecourse, Marion DuPont Scott, and be a part of this very important tradition.
There might be some viewers who are watching and they'll say, hey, Tom, I was there in the spring. Why come back in the fall again?
You might see one of the early games in the NFL, but you hadn't been to the Super Bowl. And until if you hadn't been to the Super Bowl, you hadn't seen a race. November 17th, we're going to be crowning a champion. Be a part of something that's very important. Here in Kershaw County, where equestrian and ecotourism has been such an important part of our economy. Tourism is the largest economic sector in South Carolina at about $29 billion a year, and ecotourism is the largest, fastest growing part of that at about 25%. So come out and be a very important part of our culture, our history, and our family event with the Steeplechase Super Bowl on November 17th. Come out and have a great time. So we invite the state and the country to be here when we crown the next champion in 2024 on November 17th.
There you go, Tom Mulliken, owner of the Mulliken Law Firm and the sponsor of this year's Colonial Cup.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much, and thanks for what WACH Fox TV does for us here in the Midlands and across our great state. You're the best.
And Claire, as you notice there, Tom said they're excited because they've been waiting for quite some time for this.
This race really does mean a lot to the community in Camden. They say it's one that brings families together, and they're really excited to see it back.
Ooh, and speaking of families, you have an interesting take, Claire.
That's right. I actually sat down with a couple that they met and have a connection to the Colonial Cup races. So stick with us. You'll hear that story when we come back.
Welcome back to this Sports Zone special where we're focusing on the 49th running of the Marion DuPont Scott Colonial Cup races.
Horse lovers across the Midlands are excited about the return of the Colonial Cup, including the couple I spoke with. Friendy, they've been married for more than 50 years.
Good for them.
Yeah, of course. And actually, they met at the Springdale race courses. So they told me why they always make sure that they come back to the races anytime they can.
Well, our story actually begins about 300 yards from where we are. First house on the left, and that's where we met on Carolina Cup weekend, and sparks were flying.
A race course that has history of its own marks the start of family history for Townley and Jean Redfern. The couple meeting on these very grounds 57 years ago at the Carolina Cup, but making every effort to continue to be here for the races, especially the Colonial Cup, which started in 1970.
As little kids, we always came to the races. In 1970, we were in Fort Hood, Texas, because I was doing 2 years in the military. And then in 1971, we came back for our first Colonial Cup, but we've been coming to the Colonial Cup ever since. To me, the biggest thing is that we're bringing back something that means so much to the community. You could bring your family and your kids could have a good time.
Generations of family. Like we started with his parents, we had children, and now they have children. So his parents are no longer with us, but we have now got children and grandchildren and all of their friends.
In the nearly 6 decades that the Redferns have been coming to the Springdale racecourse together, they've witnessed history in the sport of steeplechase horse racing.
Usually the horse of the year was decided by whoever won this race. When you see a horse that's won at the track, like Lonesome Glory did the first time, and then you see the horse come back and repeat and do it 2 more times, it is just amazing.
All reasons why Townley and Jean Redfern are so excited to see the races return.
The Colonial Cup has been a wonderful fall race that is, it's just so inviting and so family oriented, and it has made it, it's just a wonderful experience, and we're so glad that they're bringing it back.
And clearly a generational event, generations of families coming out to this big race.
How cool is that? And so we're talking about generations, and we're talking about people that can train for the big day. So what about training the horses? I spoke with a trainer and a jockey to get a better understanding. Bernie Dalton is making sure his horse Saban is ready to practice his gallops. As a jockey, Bernie has ridden horses for years. For the past few weeks, Saban has been preparing for the return of the Colonial Cup. He's the same horse who won the Carolina Cup with Bernie back in the spring. His preparation is unique because his trainer is Bernie's wife, Kate.
I used to be just an exercise rider, and I have progressed into training. And Bernie had actually been a jockey and retired when we met.
The Daltons met each other 13 years ago on a different race course. They tell me their equine experience helps them to work together to produce a champion horse. Kate says there are several factors that go into training a winning horse.
So a lot of it is body condition. You have to sort of be regimental about what you're feeding them. You know, you want their weight to be a certain way. You don't want them to have extra fat, obviously, but you don't want them skinny either. And they get groomed several times a day. We bandage their legs at the end of the morning. Their legs get checked several times a day.
She says a large part of the trainings are the jumps.
They have to be able to negotiate the jumps. The quicker they can get over the jumps and the smoother they can get over the jumps, the less hang time they have in air.
Unlike the Carolina Cup, jockeys like Bernie meet their horses before they compete in the Colonial Cup. Bernie says another major difference is the distance.
The Carolina Cup is like 2 1/8 miles, and we add an extra 5/8 of a mile in the fall to 2 6 for the Colonial Cup.
Kate says there's no greater joy than knowing her husband will ride the horse she trained. Claire, a husband and wife team.
Hey, the family connections just continue.
You're right
so
about
you
that.
you can see the family atmosphere, whether you're coming as a fan or even, heck, on the race course itself.
How cool is that? And of course, we have so much more to talk about as it relates to the return of the Colonial Cup.
And ladies and gents, of course, we have you covered when it comes to the fashion for the big day. So stay with us to hear what you should be wearing to the Colonial Cup.
Welcome back to the Sports Zone special, where we're focusing on the 49th running of the Marion DuPont Scott Colonial Cup races.
Well, so far we've learned about the history of the Cup, how the horses are trained leading up to the big day. And so now, of course, the question is, if I want to go, well, what do I wear?
Yeah.
So I spent some time at Pink's stable to give you gals some tips on what you can dress for.
And plus, don't forget, fellas, we have something for you too.
Continuing Watch Fox's coverage of the Colonial Cup, I'm here at the Pink Stable, joined by owner Catherine Couch. Catherine, the last time we were here was for the Carolina Cup, so talking about more spring fashion, change of season now, and that means change of fashion.
That's right, and the Colonial Cup is a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more family friendly, and so we're going to have a different look for the Colonial Cup than you're used to seeing for the Carolina, for sure.
All right, so let's walk through what we have going on. Lots of nice outfits here with us. So what do we have in this first one?
So on this first one, we've got a new top that we just got in by Emily McCarthy. Just because it's fall doesn't mean it has to be dark colors, but you are definitely going to see a lot of jeans at the Colonial Cup versus at the Carolina. It's spring, you're bringing out your dresses and your hats. This, like I said, it's a little more fall geared, a lot of jeans. These are our new boot cut jeans, and you can always accessorize with some jewelry.
Definitely more fabric itself for warming or cooling down in temperatures, but also, like you said, that family atmosphere, the denim, right?
Yes, denim. And denim is big for fall, not just in, jeans and pants like you're used to seeing, but in dresses. So we've pulled our next look is a denim dress, and I'm sure you've seen that trend, everywhere. But it is hot for fall. And then layering. So we've got this precious sweater over it that's got some elements of different designs to it. And then pull it together with a bag. You're gonna need a bag. You're gonna need your cell phone and a chapstick and sunscreen and all that stuff. And so this precious bag has this really pretty corduroy fabric to it, so playing with some texture. But this is a perfect outfit. You just throw on some, cowboy boots and you're good to go.
And we got some different textures going on to some suede up top.
Yeah, so this is a perfect example of the difference. In the spring, you see all the big sun hats with the flowers and the bows and stuff like that. But in the fall, you're going to want to darken it down, have a little more of like a cowboy aesthetic for the Colonial Cup. So for this outfit, we've got this wonderful denim. This is a cropped flare that you're probably used to seeing. That trend is coming back for fall again. And then you've got this really pretty sweater with the dark, garnet tones with the red and the tan. And then you just top it off with this wonderful suede hat. So again, mixing textures, mixing colors. Brown is huge for fall. You're going to see the color brown everywhere, which brings us to our next outfit. This is a beautiful Emily McCarthy dress. It has a little bit of detail in
the
here.
hidden detail, like you said.
But again, this really pretty corduroy suede fabric with this huge collar and this pretty necklace. I mean, this with some boots. You could even throw this hat back on with it. I mean, so pretty for the Colonial Cup.
And what I like about these is that they do have some substance to it, but it feels breathable as well. Because sometimes in November in South Carolina, it can stay warm.
You never know in November. Yes, you might be, drippings with sweat, or you might be cold. You have no idea. So layering is key for the Colonial Cup, I would say. But this is a wonderful texture. It's light, airy, but it still gives you that fall look.
Awesome.
For sure.
And then got some balance up top and the bottom.
Yes. Now, if I was going to the Colonial Cup, which I don't know that I'll personally be out there because clearly I have other things that are going to occupy me, but this would be my outfit because this is me all day long. So we've got this beautiful like ombre pleated skirt with all the fun colors, and you've got the darker over here, that rust that really brings in fall. And then you pair it with a chunky sweater. So you're definitely playing with textures here. I would do a little front tuck because I'm not over it yet.
The millennial tuck, as they say.
Yeah. I'm a millennial.
I'm guilty of it.
I'll front tuck it all day long. So that would be me, and then I would throw on my suede hat.
Is there anything else you think people should know before they head out, whether it's a fun accessory they can come grab here or anything like that?
Well, I definitely think that a lot of the same rules for Carolina Cup, you should follow that with Colonial. So you want to have a cooler that you can take. You want to pack a bag with your drinks, something easy. But the best part about the Colonial Cup, and we're so thankful that they brought it back to our town.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Catherine. This is wonderful. Make sure you come down to Pink Stable to pick out one of these wonderful outfits and the many more they have.
Well, just like the Carolina Cup, the Colonial Cup is also about fashion, and fellas, you are in for a treat. Joining me now is Hannah Marsh from the National Steeplechase Museum. Hey, Hannah.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for allowing us to be back here again. So for the Colonial Cup, I understand that you all partnered with a men's store.
Yes, we partnered with Butler's Fine Men's Clothing out of Florence, South Carolina.
So during the springtime, we had the Carolina Cup, and the fellas had the bow ties, the seersuckers, linens, and shorts. So for the fall, for the Colonial Cup, what will the fellas have to put on?
Yeah, so of course you'll see some tweed, some corduroy, some houndstooth, maybe an ascot or two, definitely bow ties, a little more fall look than the spring though.
All right. Okay, so fellas, get ready because I have a few outfits we're going to put together just for you.
For the first outfit, we have a great two-piece gray and brown plaid tweed suit. This fabric and colors are perfect for the fall Colonial Cup this year. Frindy's also wearing it with a brackish savage shin bow tie and lapel pin that are made of goose, quail, and turkey feathers. These pieces are made in Charleston, South Carolina. Fellas, for the second outfit today, we have a houndstooth sports coat with browns and red, tan in that coat, contrasting with a navy and pheasant ascot. Frindy is also wearing dark wash jeans paired with a Boykin Spaniel Smathers and Branson needlepoint belt, along with a pair of Martin Dingham crocodile loafers with a horse bit accessory. For our third and final look, we have a more laid-back look. We have a quilted houndstooth barn jacket with a corduroy collar detail. Next, we have this green corduroy vest paired with a champagne ascot. And then a great detail, we have a Martin Dingham crocodile belt with equestrian leather. And for the pants, we have a cross between casual and denim pants for a great look. And last but not least, we have the boots, a very versatile pair of boots for all kinds of weather.
All right, fellas, you saw the 3 different outfits that you could put together for the Colonial Cup, but we're not done just yet. Hannah, I understand for people bringing in beverages, they have something as well.
Yes, absolutely. Butler supplied us with some bags from Sarge Leather Brands. We've got a whiskey carrier for the gentlemen and a wine carrier for the ladies, and some koozies as well for any of your beverage needs on race day.
All right, so race day, the Colonial Cup is coming back. What can we expect?
It is a family-friendly day, so we do have the Kids Zone brought to you by True Vista, some face painting, some inflatable obstacle courses, things like that. We also have the holiday market this year where you can do some Christmas shopping, and you might see a friendly face. I hear Santa Claus is coming to town.
And I also understand something else, throwing involved?
Yes. Oh, we have the inflatable axe throwing for the kids in the Kids Zone brought to you by True Vista.
That is going to be cool. Okay, Hannah, thank you so much for everything. We really do appreciate it. Camden would not be home to the Colonial Cup if it wasn't for the generous donation of a woman who loved horses.
We'll hear her story and wrap up our special on the 49th running of the Marion DuPont Scott Colonial Cup right after the break. Welcome back to the Sports Zone special where we're focusing on the 49th running of the Marion DuPont Scott Colonial Cup races.
Well, the Colonial Cup and the Carolina Cup would not be possible if it weren't for a woman's love for horses. Now, Claire, I spoke with the executive director of the National Steeplechase Museum to learn more about this donation.
I think it was her generosity that allows us to be here and to stand here on what is a jewel really for the state of South Carolina.
Toby Edwards with the National Steeplechase Museum tells us that generosity came from Marion DuPont Scott. Born in 1894, she was the great-granddaughter of Eleuthère et René DuPont, the founder of the DuPont Empire. Her family lived in Virginia after her father acquired land formerly owned by U.S. President James Madison. She would later develop a love for horses, which led her to win more than 50 stake races.
Fascinating woman, was sort of known as the queen of steeplechasing in America. She, in 1938, sent a horse to England to win the biggest steeplechase race in England, which is the English Grand National, with a horse called Battleship.
Scott later had a house in Camden where she organized and operated the Camden Training Center for thoroughbred horses. Years later, she became the owner of the Springdale Racecourse.
She acquired the facility in the 50s, and it was through her goodwill. In 1983, she left it to the state of South Carolina to be used to promote equine events and horse racing. So over 500 acres that we have here.
Claire, over 500 acres given to the state of South Carolina.
Well, Friendy, you can see why this community really wraps their arms around the Springdale Racecourse and really the whole sport of steeplechase racing.
Absolutely. And you know, that concludes this Watch Fox Sports Zone special on the 49th running of the Marion DuPont Scott Colonial Cup races, brought to you by the Mulliken Law Firm in Camden.
Don't forget to mark your calendars for Sunday, November 17th. That's when the Colonial Cup returns to the Springdale Racecourses in Camden. For more information, you can visit us on our website at WACH.com.